What would you do if you found out that your wife is cheating on you with your brother? I decided to take revenge, and my revenge destroyed me.
I'll never forget that night. I was standing in the hallway of my brother's apartment, just staring at the door. My heart was pounding so hard, it felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. My hands were shaking. I didn't know what I was waiting for, but my gut told me it wasn't going to be good. I pressed the doorbell. The door opened almost immediately, and there he was, my twin brother. He was only wearing a t-shirt, no jeans, no socks. He looked like he'd been caught completely off guard. But that was only half the problem. Over his shoulder, she appeared, my wife, wearing his t-shirt, with messy hair and lips that still had traces of a kiss on them. My world just crumbled in that moment. She gasped, covering herself with her hands, as if that could change anything. He looked down, not even bothering to come up with an excuse. And in 1 second, I understood everything. My wife and my brother together. I froze. My chest tightened so much I couldn't breathe. Only one question was in my head. What the hell is going on here? She opened her mouth to say something, but the words got stuck in her throat. And he just stared at me, my brother, the person I grew up with, the one I shared toys, secrets, and my first cigarette with. And now he had stolen the most sacred thing from me. Are you serious? My voice was so quiet I could barely hear it myself. She took a step forward, reaching for me, but I pulled my hand back. I felt like if she touched me, I would lose it. A heavy silence fell in the hallway. The only sounds were a dog barking outside and the ticking of my own watch. And I knew this was the moment that would turn my life upside down. Before this evening, I was a husband, a brother, a man who believed in family. After, I became someone else. But for you to understand how it all started, we have to go back a little. My name is David, and I have a twin brother, Michael. We were always inseparable. When we were kids, people would confuse us, and in school, we would play pranks on everyone by swapping classes. My mom always used to say, "You two are a perfect pair." But the older we got, the more the differences showed. I was the calmer, more responsible one. I studied to be a lawyer, made plans, and always thought about the future. Michael was my complete opposite, the life of the party, an adventurer, and he never had any trouble with girls. Everything came easy to him. We often argued about it. But deep down, I always thought, he's my brother. We are blood. We'll get through anything together. And so, when I met Emily, I was sure it was forever. Emily was like a light in my life. Kind, smart, with an infectious laugh. I fell in love with her the moment I saw her, and when we got married, I felt like the happiest man on earth. At the wedding, Michael raised his glass and gave a toast.
I know no one can make my brother happier than Emily. To you guys.
I had no idea how ironic his words would turn out to be. At first, everything was perfect. Emily and I bought a house. She'd cook dinners. We'd go for walks in the evenings and plan our future. But gradually, I started to notice small things. A phone she'd quickly put away when I walked into the room. Late nights out with friends. Her laughing late at night when I thought she was just texting someone on social media. I tried to ignore it. You know how it is? You convince yourself that everything's fine, that it's just paranoia. And then Michael showed up. He started coming over more often. At first, I was happy about it. Families should stick together. But sometimes I would notice the way they looked at each other, the way she'd laugh at his jokes just a little too long, the way he'd help her in the kitchen even though he had never been interested in cooking before. I tried to pass it all off as my own imagination. It's your brother. It's your wife. You're just overthinking. But a feeling grew inside me that something was wrong. One evening, Emily said,
I'm going to Sarah's. She's having a bachelorette party. I'll be back late. Don't wait up.
I nodded, but something pricked inside me. And after she left, I decided to check. I called Sarah, her best friend. Hey, Sarah, listen, is Emily there? She said she was coming to a bachelorette party. A pause.
Bachelorette party?
Sarah's voice sounded surprised.
No, I'm home alone tonight. We didn't plan anything.
My world shifted slightly in that moment. I thanked her and hung up. Then I just sat in the dark and waited. Emily got back around midnight. Her eyes were bright, and she smelled like someone else's perfume. How was Sarah's? I asked, trying to sound calm.
Great.
She answered too quickly. I knew she had lied. Chapter 4. The Talk with My Brother. A couple of days later, I decided to talk to Michael. We were sitting at a bar, and I mustered up the courage. Listen, Mike, I've got a weird feeling.
About what?
He raised an eyebrow. Like Emily is hiding something. He laughed.
Oh, come on. You've always been paranoid. She loves you. I can see it.
But a strange look flashed in his eyes. It was a look that only lasted a second, but I remembered it. Weeks passed. My trust in Emily was fading, but I was still hoping I was wrong. Until that very evening, she said she was going to yoga, but her gym bag was still at home on the sofa. I took the car and followed her. At first, I felt like an idiot. But when I saw her car parked at Michael's apartment, my heart sank. I sat in my car, looking at her silhouette in the window. There was a light on, and two people were moving inside. My wife, my brother. I didn't wait any longer. I went up the stairs. And then the doorbell, his T-shirt, her hair. And my world, which crumbled in 1 second, my world, which crumbled in 1 second. But it didn't just crumble, it exploded. I stood there looking at them and felt a wave of hatred rise inside me, so strong I wanted to scream loudly. What the hell is going on here? I repeated, this time putting all the pain and anger I felt into every word. Emily covered her face with her hands, trying to hide from my gaze. Michael, my brother, lowered his head. He wouldn't look me in the eye. He couldn't, and that was worse than any excuse.
David, listen.
Emily started, "Don't you dare." I cut her off, taking a step back. You no longer have the right to say my name. I looked at Michael. His face was pale. His eyes were full of fear and shame. He looked like a kid caught stealing. And that's what he did. He stole my trust, my life. Mike, brother. My voice was trembling. You, my brother. How could you? He looked up, and there was some kind of pitiful plea in his eyes.
I don't know how this happened,
he whispered. What the are you talking about? You don't know? I was almost suffocating. It didn't just happen. You both made it happen, together, behind my back. While I was working, while I was building our future, Emily started to cry.
It was a mistake.
She sobbed.
We didn't want it to happen like this.
A mistake? I scoffed. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Your choice. Everything was burning inside me. I felt my hands clenching into fists. I wanted to hit him so hard he would feel just a fraction of the pain he caused me. But I couldn't. This was Michael, my blood, the person I had shared my entire life with. I don't want to see you, any of you, I growled and turned to leave. I drove home, but it wasn't my home anymore. It was a home built on a lie. After parking the car, I went inside. Everything looked the same as always. The kitchen table with letters on it, family photos on the shelves. But now it all felt foreign, dirty. I packed her things, just crammed everything into huge garbage bags, her clothes, her makeup, even the perfume whose smell I now hated. I didn't think. I just did it, like a robot, driven by only one goal, to erase her from my life. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Emily. I threw the phone on the sofa, and it kept vibrating. I didn't want to hear her voice. But then another phone rang. It was my father.
David, son, what's going on?
His voice was worried.
Michael just called. He was hysterical. He said,
I sat down on the sofa, trying to stop shaking. He told you everything, Dad? My voice was empty.
yes.
My father said quietly.
He said that you and Emily broke up, and that he's to blame for it.
I closed my eyes. So he did find the courage to confess, but it didn't matter anymore.
I want to talk to you all.
My father said.
To you, to Emily, to everyone. Right now. Your mom and I are coming over.
I couldn't argue. I knew this conversation had to happen. I had to look them in the eye and tell them what they had done. Half an hour later, they arrived. Emily was there crying, with red eyes. Michael stood next to her, slouched over like a beaten dog. They both looked pathetic, but I felt no pity, only emptiness. Mom tried to hug me, but I stepped away. She was confused. She didn't understand why I was so cold.
David, talk to us.
My father said.
What happened?
I looked at them, at my parents, who had always believed in us, in our family, at Emily, who had been pretending for months, and at Michael, who had stolen my wife. What happened? I laughed, a bitter, joyless laugh. Ask them how they dared to do this to me. Mom looked at Emily, then at Michael.
Emily, what is he saying?
She asked. Emily turned away, unable to look at her. Michael and we were together, I said quietly but firmly. They cheated on me. A deafening silence fell in the room. Mom gasped and covered her mouth with her hand. Dad turned pale. He looked from Michael to Emily.
Is this true, Michael?
My father asked. Michael slowly nodded.
Yes, Dad.
His voice was barely audible. My father closed his eyes, as if from a powerful blow. Mom started to cry, and I couldn't stand her tears. I ran out of the house and drove wherever my eyes would take me. Somewhere no one would find me. I wanted to disappear, to dissolve. I sat in my car by the lake and stared into the darkness. My mind was empty, but at the same time, it was full of chaos. I thought about revenge. I wanted them to feel the same pain as me. I wanted them to suffer. But how? Just leaving wasn't revenge. It was running away. I wanted them to remember me not just as a victim, but as the one who struck back. And then an idea came to me. Not just an idea, but a spark. I remembered how we used to play tricks on everyone by swapping places when we were kids. No one could tell us apart, no one but us. And I thought, what if I become him again? Michael had a wife. Her name was Jenna. I didn't know her as well as Emily, but I knew that she loved her husband very much, and she was very much like Emily was at the very beginning, kind, trusting, my blood, my flesh. I wanted them to feel what I felt, and I knew how to do it. I drove to their house. I knew Michael would be with Emily, trying to sort out what had happened, and Jenna would be alone. I pulled up to their house, got out of the car. A shiver ran through my body. It was disgusting. I couldn't believe I was about to do this, but I had to. This was my revenge, my only way to survive. I rang the doorbell. Jenna opened the door. There was a look of tiredness and anxiety in her eyes.
Michael,
She asked.
is something wrong? I called you, but
I didn't say a word. I just looked at her, trying to play the part of Michael. It was easy. We were like one person.
Michael, what's wrong?
She reached out and touched my cheek. I flinched.
Are you okay?
I nodded. I had to play the part. Let's go inside, I whispered. She didn't suspect a thing. I walked into my brother's house, into his home, and all I felt was disgust. But I had to see this through,
You're so strange.
she said.
You're all shaky.
Just tired, I whispered, pulling her close. Her lips were soft. Her kiss didn't have the same passion I felt with Emily. I just stood there, like a rock.
What's wrong, Michael?
She asked.
You don't seem like yourself.
I held her tighter. I felt her warmth, her trust, her love. And that was even worse. But I had to do it. I looked at myself in the mirror, at a reflection that wasn't mine. I saw Michael. I was him. And then I did it. I went upstairs, and she followed me, hugging me. I had to make her feel the same way I did. I wanted them to suffer. And now I knew they would. They would feel the same way I did. Behind every smile, behind every touch, they would know that their life was a lie, and that lie, it would poison them every single day. I knew this moment wouldn't bring me happiness, but it would bring them pain, and that was enough. I took a step into the darkness, and I was ready for what was to come, because this was my choice, my path of revenge. I stood in my brother's house, holding his wife in my arms. I looked at myself in the mirror, and there was Michael, with his eyes, with his smile. But inside, I was David, and my soul was on fire. I kissed her, and every kiss was a poison I poured into her life.
Michael, you're so strange.
She rested her head on my chest.
Everything feels different tonight.
I just missed you, I whispered, trying to keep my voice from trembling. I felt like a monster, but it was necessary. Every gentle sigh, every touch was a new wave of pain I had to inflict. I led her to the bedroom. She didn't hesitate for a second. I took off my clothes, and the whole thing felt disgusting. It wasn't desire. It was revenge, cold and calculating. She trusted me because she thought I was her husband, and that was the essence of my cruelty. We were together, and I felt no passion, only emptiness. It felt like I was watching it from the outside, that I was just an actor in a disgusting play. And I wanted him, Michael, to feel the same way I did. I wanted him to know that I had destroyed his life just as he had destroyed mine. Afterward, I left without saying a word. I left her alone in her bed. She probably didn't understand. But when Michael came home, she would tell him everything, and then they would both understand what had happened. I got home and collapsed on the sofa. There was only one question in my head. What have I done? I had my revenge, but I didn't feel better. The opposite. I felt dirty, as if I had gotten a stain from someone else's filth. In that moment, I understood. Revenge doesn't bring peace. It only creates more pain. A few hours later, the doorbell rang. I knew who it was. Michael. I opened the door. He stood on the doorstep, his face contorted with rage.
You buttard!
He roared.
What have you done?
What have I done? I scoffed. What did you do? You took my wife. I took yours. We're even. He took a step forward, his eyes burning.
You slept with my wife.
He yelled.
You slept with my Jenna.
You slept with my Emily, I yelled back. You think it's any different? He swung and hit me. I fell to the floor, feeling blood trickle down my cheek. But I didn't feel any pain. I only felt emptiness. He lunged at me and started hitting me. I didn't fight back. I just lay there and waited for him to stop.
Why?
He yelled.
Why did you do that?
I looked him in the eye. So you would feel it, so you would understand what it's like to be betrayed by the person closest to you. He froze, looking at me. Something changed in his eyes. The rage was replaced by despair. He backed away from me, sat on the sofa, and covered his face with his hands.
She told me everything,
he whispered.
She thinks that I did it.
Let her think that, I said, wiping the blood away. It's more honest that way. Weeks passed. We didn't talk. I was left alone trying to figure out my life. I filed for divorce, and Emily left. I didn't know where she was. I didn't want to know. One day my mom called me. Her voice was full of fear.
David, you need to come. Urgently.
I arrived at the hospital. My father was there, and he looked like he had aged 10 years. What happened? I asked.
Michael.
My father whispered.
He tried to kill himself.
My heart stopped. I couldn't breathe. I went into the room, and there he was, my brother, lying on the bed, pale, with his eyes closed. I sat down next to him and took his hand. Mike, I whispered. I'm here. He opened his eyes. There was only pain in them.
She left,
he whispered.
Jenna left. She said she couldn't forgive me.
I felt something break inside me. My revenge. It didn't just destroy him, it destroyed me too. Mike? It was me. I couldn't stay silent anymore. I was the one at Jenna's, not you. He looked at me, and something like hope appeared in his eyes.
What?
He whispered. I told him everything. How I wanted revenge, how I pretended to be him so he would feel the pain. I didn't want you to suffer, I said, and tears streamed down my cheeks. I just wanted you to understand what it's like. I didn't want you to die. He took my hand. I know, he whispered. I know. I sat next to him, and we didn't say a word. We were just there. We were brothers, and only at that moment did I understand that revenge could not be the answer. Revenge is a trap, and we both fell into it. Several months passed. Michael recovered. We started talking about everything, about how it all began, about how we lost each other. One day when we were sitting at a cafe, he said, I told Jenna everything, that it was you, and she said she still can't forgive me. Not for what I did, but for not stopping you. I looked at him. And she's right, I said. She's right. We're both to blame. I, for being blinded by revenge. You, for betraying me. And in that moment, we both understood that our story wasn't a story of revenge, but a story of forgiveness. But it was a forgiveness that wouldn't bring back what we had lost.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.